I really like being out in nature, ideally with my kids, because they're just kind of my little gems, but probably anywhere but in a doctor's office.
Did you work full-time through your first trial?
Yeah.
And you have a family. It's amazing.
You kind of do what you gotta do sometimes, and that's what I have to do. My first clinical trial would have been with my stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis, and that would have been probably about a year ago or so. But that one failed rather quickly.
And so then you moved to a second trial?
Yes. So that was where I had a choice between starting a pretty aggressive chemotherapy, which I wasn't very excited about, or looking for something else. And we were able to find a trial that I was able to qualify for.
Do we make it easy enough for patients?
No,
I guess?
when I think of elderly or English as second language, I don't know that they would even know to find the trials. It's just a lot of information to sort through.
Has it been challenging for you, sort of the eligibility criteria?
Yeah, it's frustrating because for a lot of them, I've either had too much treatment in my life that I don't qualify, or I haven't had enough treatment of other kinds to qualify. It's a long, frustrating process when you're just wanting to get started with the drugs and your treatment.
My role now that I work at Parexel is I help advise companies how to use the programs at FDA and other agencies to speed up the development of really great drugs. And I'll say, do you really need that eligibility criteria? Because I think you'll lose a pretty big swath of patients.
Yeah.
And you don't need it for this trial.
Interesting. One thing that's really nice about trials is the medication's covered, and oftentimes your scans and your doctor's visits are too. That is a godsend. I mean, I can't imagine for people that are struggling to pay for their medical bills.
How about something you didn't love about being in a clinical trial?
I have to drive about an hour and a half for my trial. And some of these appointments are at 7 o'clock in the morning. So do you get a hotel and do you stay overnight, which that's not covered? Or do you just get up at 4:30 and leave? If you were an hourly wage earner or something, that would be a huge burden.
So it sounds like it's often the practicalities around the treatment that can be just as challenging, because I know we do things like we can provide transportation services, and I don't know if you know much about virtual trials and telemedicine, but in certain situations where we can take all or some of the trial to the patient in their home, so using things like delivering the medication to you directly and sending in home nurses for blood draws, and using telemedicine so you can have video calls with your physician so you don't necessarily have to travel every time.
Do you think there are times where you would have appreciated a virtual visit instead of having to go into the clinic?
You know, if I'm just going in for like a blood draw and you honestly see the doctor just to go through, these are what your results are, and so let's hand you the medication, there's no reason that needs to be an in-person appointment. I can say that over the 27 years of treatment that I've had, I've seen so many innovations, both on the medical side and the treatment side. And I guess I'm curious as to how far forward do you see things going? Where are some of the big changes coming?
I don't think patients have been invited in the way we want to invite them in now to participate in drug development, because that's a huge shift, and I think it's really important because I think it'll make smarter drug development.
Absolutely. I mean, we're the ones with the information.
Yep. You're the primary source. How can we not use that?
Yeah. You're on our team, or we want you on our team, and so. I had read this book a while ago, and I don't remember the name of it. One of the things that was in there talked about hope. And there's hope, and then there's healthy hope. And healthy hope is described as being hopeful for something that can actually happen. And so for me, healthy hope is all these advancements in medical care, because my healthy hope is to stay alive for like a really long time. So I still try. And I do believe it's possible because of the advancements and all the great stuff that's happening. That brings me a ton of hope.